Can the Patriots rely on Rob Gronkowski going forwards? This is the Foxborough Report. My name is Alex Barth. He is Evan Lazar. We are brought to you today by 1in100. You can check them out at 1in100.co. If you're looking for tickets to the Patriots, the Celtics, or other events, you got to check them out. Again, that's 1in100. They can get you in the building for the price of a pizza or an ice cold beer. And check them out again online at 1in100.co. Evan, Rob Gronkowski, it's kind of easy to say the worst game of his career potentially against the Vikings on Sunday was a liability, not just in the passing game, but in the running game as well. Multiple penalties for false starts and holdings. And then Bill Belichick asked Wednesday before practice, can the team count on Rob Gronkowski week to week?
Yeah, a little awkward.
Sort of dodged the question. He said, you know, there was nothing on the injury report last week, which, by the way, wasn't correct.
Yeah.
Now we really have to look at this. It's one bad game, and he was okay against the Jets, but given how this season has gone, not saying Rob Gronkowski's career is over. I'm not saying that he can't matter in spots, but can he be that go-to guy?
Well, I think that what we're seeing with Rob Gronkowski, and we'll get into some of the weeds of what I'm really seeing, but just big picture-wise, I don't think that we're going to see a player that is an impact, almost MVP caliber level player again, at least this season. Maybe that's in the tank somewhere, but I just don't see it being in the tank for Rob Gronkowski this season. There were about 5 or 6 times in that game last week against Minnesota where he's affecting coverage, either pulling guys with him or, the gravity of the play is what I like to call it. Like he's the moon and the gravity is pulling guys towards him. Those types of things was definitely there in spurts, but I think what we're seeing mostly is that teams are matching him up one-on-one. They're getting in his face at the line of scrimmage and they're jamming him a lot. And they're basically turning it into gunner and punt coverage, right? Where they're basically just gonna get after him out on the line of scrimmage and then hope that he can't break that press because he doesn't have the speed or the explosiveness anymore to separate and run away from you if you jam him at the line. So I think the big thing for Gronk is going to be, first of all, he has to adapt now and kind of become better at beating press coverage and beating jams at the line of scrimmage, because back in the day, he was so explosive and big that he could just run right through people when they jammed him, and he doesn't have that kind of burst off the line anymore. So now he's going to have to work with his technical skills. Maybe Julian Edelman could give him a few pointers of this is how you beat press. Get up on the guy's toes, crowd the defensive back, use his momentum against him, those types of things that help you beat press coverage. Because right now, you go and you watch, I put a couple of clips up on Twitter that people can go check out. Whenever he needs to cut in and out of a break, it's not the straight line stuff. If you send him up a seam, you send him up a go ball, he can run by people still because he builds up his speed that way. The problem is when he has to cut across the field, when he has to cut back on a curl route, when he has to go up on a dig. There's just no explosion there at the top of the route, and that's where the separation issues are coming up.
Well, then there was the stuff in the running game, too, the multiple penalties. He got beat on blocks a few times. When he went through that tough stretch at the beginning of the season, I think a lot of people were okay with it because he was still such a factor in the run game. Essentially as an extra tackle. What did you see there? Was that just an anomaly, or is he gonna
some of it was essentially a lot of it was mental. So the direct snap, he let a guy inside him. He let Mackenzie Alexander inside, which is a big no-no for the Patriots on an outside run. Outside run, you can't let anybody inside of you because it blows up the running play. The issue was not Danielle Hunter. Danielle Hunter worked his way down the line of scrimmage because James White get held up in the backfield. If Gronk makes that play and doesn't allow Mackenzie Alexander to blow it up, then James White gets on the edge and Daniel Hunter's not even a factor on the play. So that was the issue there. I saw some good run blocking, and I thought that the second holding call on the reverse to Edelman was a little cheap. He kind of threw Harrison Smith out of bounds, and they caught him for a hold late in the play. I could see what they were seeing, the refs, but it was definitely a close call. But there were some moments where he had some good run blocking. There were some moments, especially in that clock-killing drive late in the game in that fourth quarter where they burned about 4 minutes off the clock with Sony Michel. There was some good run blocking in there from Gronk. But overall, I think what we're seeing is that there's just no juice in his legs right now, and that's translating in both the run game and in the pass game.
So if he can't turn that around, let's even just say short-term between now and the playoffs, right? The next 4 weeks, and you have the big Pittsburgh game in there, and of course a chance to clinch the division this weekend in Miami. Does that take the tight end position out of the Patriots playbook? Because Dwayne Allen, he's been back at practice, but he's still banged up. Jacob Hollister has shown us next to nothing this year.
Yeah.
What happens? It's been the most crucial position for the Patriots. arguably for the last decade outside of quarterback. What
Yeah.
happens to it?
Well, I think that there's two routes that I still see Gronk being able to get open on. First one is that over the middle crosser off of play action. He's still able to use that play action fake when they pull in the linebackers. He's able to find that void behind them. The second one is what we saw against the Jets, that seam ball. He can still build up speed. So when he gets up above a linebacker and be able to stack a linebacker or a safety or a corner like he did in the Jets game or like he did in Kansas City on that game-winning drive at the end of there, those are still routes that I think that we're going to see Gronk run. And I think that in the playoffs, they might go to that well a little bit more than they are now.
If he can't do that, though, like, is that it for? Is that the Patriots' only hope for having a productive tight end this year?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say probably yes. I would say that, but I think that Gronk he's not Gronk anymore, right? It's like he's Clark Kent. He's not Superman, right? But he's still it's still there, right? And it can still be there, to me at least, in spurts. And I still think that even though he's not Superman anymore, Clark Kent is still maybe the 10th best tight end in the league. You know what I mean? Like he's still a very good tight end. It's not like they're completely losing that position, I don't think, because even though he's not the guy that we're used to seeing, and maybe he's not on the level of a Travis Kelce or a Zach Ertz or one of those guys anymore, he's still better than half the league starting tight ends. He's not like a complete waste of space like maybe like the Jets tight end position is or a team like that. So I still think that he's a viable player, and he certainly is still able to kind of draw coverage, and he drew Harrison Smith in a couple matchups. He did Xavier Rhodes in a couple matchups. That helps, right? Because then those guys are not allocated on other resources for you on the offense side of the ball. They're still a better team with Rob Gronkowski on the field.
Let us know what you thought of Gronk's performance on Sunday and what you're expecting from him in the final quarter of the Patriots season. You can talk to us down below in the comments or on Twitter at PatriotsCLNS. Evan will be in Miami. We will have complete coverage for you of the Patriots and the Dolphins. You can get all of that online at clnsmedia.com. This has been the Foxborough Report. It is brought to you by 1-in-100. Check them out at 1in100.co for your Patriots, Celtics, and other event tickets. Again, that's 1in100.co. From Gillette Stadium, he's Evan Lazar. I'm Alex Barth. Thanks for watching.